le Canadien. C'est dans notre sang, dans nos cœurs, notre tradition, notre honneur. Le Canadien, c'est tout, c'est une partie de nous. Bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien, c'est...
Et voilà, le Canadien, ça fait partie de nous. Welcome back to another Red Light Show with the hockey coach, Coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful country of the Kingdom Animal. And 10 on amazing, great Sunday night, November 23rd, 2025. Hopefully an amazing, great day of football, hockey, whatever you listen, whatever you do with your family. And I'm very happy and glad to have all of you with us tonight, talking about who? Le tricolore, le bleu blanc rouge, le Montreal Canadiens. Of course, with a big W last night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. A couple of news around the team today. We're going to talk about those news. A couple of news about NHL. And definitely we're going to talk about everything, what's coming for the upcoming week for the Montreal and NHL. And of course, Sunday night, it's impossible to have not only one, but we open the wallet and we bring both of them with us for the night of the Sunday night. They are ready to talk about hockey in Montreal Canadiens. Of course, I'm talking about Marco Larrabee and Mr. Enartap are in the house tonight.
Hello, Coach. Hello, Marco. Hello, Hockey Nation. Finally, we can breathe a sigh of relief.
Or can we? That's the big question, right?
Good question.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Glad to be back. Welcome to the Red Light Show with Enartap and Coach. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
And Marco, always a pleasure.
Breaking news in NHL, San Jose Sharks scored the first goal of the game. It's not Celebrini. It's not Will Smith. It's not Toffoli. It's not Eglon. It's Shakir Mukhamadullin. First in NHL career, I believe, for Mukhamadullin, draft by the New Jersey Devils. Was involved in the trade for Timo Meier, I believe. Yeah, I think it was Timo Meier.
Yeah.
On that trade.
Thanks for being the one to pronounce his name, Coach, because I definitely did not want to be the one to have to.
Mukhamadullin, for what I heard about this name, we just remember that name because when we that time was with Michael DeVillano, we did the NHL draft, everything, prospect, everything. This name stuck in my head forever.
Well, I know who he is. I know who he is, and I've seen his name written down. I just have never endeavored to actually try to pronounce it.
I know, of course, it's like put the name on the back of the jersey. It's like a circle.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to put that name on the back of the jersey.
Exactly. We have a welcome, everybody. First of all, go to welcome. PS is in the house. LDP is in the house. Stand the man, of course. A2 knock. Welcome back. Gary Cornoyer, guys. If you need to take a nap after 6 months, stay inside of his truck, UPS, and after now he's out. They put him out. Now he passed 1 day at home. So, congratulations, Gary Cornoyer. PLW is in the house. He said, Celebrini and Bozer to score for 7.25. Good luck about that one, Mr. PLW. And of course, Eminem is in the house tonight. Eminem, welcome back. And now, Mr. Connor Bellard is pushing right there. Anyhow, Gary Cornoyer, Mr. Claude Richard from Ottawa, welcome. He got something in the neck. Lucky Graziano is in the house. Welcome back. Merci. Thanks to be with us. Then we're RJ Calabro with all the news around the NHL. RJ Calabro, thanks so much. Don't forget, everybody, to click on the like. We have a couple of things to talk about. And Austin Allen is in the house. So welcome also, Austin. Thanks to be with us. A lot of comments. Martin Bezit from Waterloo is in the house tonight. First of all, the subject of the night, guys. Big win for the Montreal Canadiens. And crashed the lead by a score of 5-2. And don't forget, Thursday night, we invite everybody. Thanksgiving night, but here in Hockey Nation, we do the Turkey Awards 2025-2026, 5th edition of the Hockey Nation. So don't miss that one. And Mark Elliott knocked the door. Welcome. Thanks to be with Hockey Nation live show. And 6 months for Romanov. We're going to talk about this in the next couple of minutes. So Welcome, everybody. Thanks to be with us. And don't forget, please, to subscribe and become a member of the channel or the Patreon. 00 Chicago and Colorado. So we start every night. The first thing we do what? The coach, we do the headlines, the headline, and we're going to go right there, guys. They forget to put the headlines on my graphic, but it's okay. And the first we do is a ritual. We start with Marco, followed by Enartap and myself. So let's see what we got for all of you for the headline, Marco.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought I would take this opportunity after seeing what is left of the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. I think I've talked about this. I've kind of brought it up a little bit on the show before, but I think it's really interesting, to talk about. So no guarantees, Coach, when it comes to a rebuild. And I think we're kind of seeing a little bit like two ships passing each other through the night, right? Like the Toronto Maple Leafs, kind of their window closing a little bit, and then we're seeing the Montreal Canadiens window just starting to open, right? So down there, I have a little fun quote: "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Very philosophical, but true, right? So I guess what I wanted to talk about, and I'm curious to hear you guys on this a little bit, is I think there's a lot of lessons to learn from the Toronto Maple Leafs rebuild and roster construction. There's a lot of mistakes that were made, and guys, I've been so fortunate to join you guys at a time. Like, it was such an interesting timing for me to join your channel, Coach, because I came in right when the rebuild was starting, and we've kind of seen it grow together. All three of us have done countless shows talking about the rebuild, and we talked about asset collection, and then kind of like drafting and developing, and now we know that we're in the roster construction phase, and we've been talking about it for years, Coach, that the hardest part of any rebuild, successful rebuild, is the last part, where you're doing the roster construction, where you're making very, very important choices of which players to keep, how to build the roster, and all that, right? So I think Montreal, again, like we've talked about this, Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon, they have a lot of tough decisions here. We're seeing some of it right now. You're calling up Engstrom. Like, what do you do? Like, we can talk, I'm sure we'll talk about it on the show today, but it just shows you how important it is to get the roster construction part right and the contracts right. And there's just so many things that went wrong with the Toronto Maple Leafs rebuild. And it goes by fast, guys. I don't know if you guys remember, but when they drafted Matthews and they had Marner and they had Nylander, there was on the cover of the Hockey News or Sports Illustrated or something, they were saying dynasty. It's not if they're going to win a cup, it's how many cups was this core going to win together. And obviously we saw that it never really happened for them. To me, in my lifetime anyways, the two cores, like the two hockey cores that were the best hockey teams that never won anything, were the 2000 Senators with Alfredson and with Hossa. Like, those teams never won. And then you have the Leafs that haven't been able to win. Like, to me, those are two of the best hockey teams on paper that had really strong players, but were never able to win. And that's a very dubious thing in history to be, right? So curious to kind of hear you guys on this, but do you find it ironic, that Toronto is kind of in the later stage of their window, and it's just interesting to see last night's game, and we know that Matthews wasn't there and Matthew Nyes was in there, but curious to see what you think. Like, what is the biggest lesson you think Montreal can learn from Toronto's failed rebuild, Enartap?
Well, first of all, Marco, I think you brought up some great points there. For sure, we're seeing a sort of a change of guards here in the NHL, not just in the Atlantic, but I think other teams out in West, and you're seeing it all over. I would add to your list there. You talked about Ottawa and Toronto. I would add San Jose from previous years.
Oh yeah,
they had all those runs in the playoffs, and they were an excellent team.
Yeah. Very cool.
And I thought that they always improved their team, but they just couldn't get there. And it just speaks to how difficult it is to win the cup in the NHL. With regards to what you're mentioning here. I mean, for me, the biggest lesson would be, and that's why I think Hughes and Gordon and a few other GMs, with some of the younger teams are doing it the right way, and that is starting from the top down and trying to establish that culture here where players now want to come and play here. And they're willing to obviously sign with Montreal. They're willing to give a bit of a cut and to stay there because they realize the nucleus is on its way of being built properly, right? It's something that is, we said it many times, and this is a differential with the Leafs. It's not something sustainable when you're paying your top players the amount of money. And we'll even take the money out of the equation, and I'll go with what you've always said, Marco. The percentage of wage allocated to that first line is not sustainable over the long run. And what happens when these players then need a new contract, or the ones below it in the other three lines, your defenders need contracts? Where are you going to get it from? You're going to be sacrificing something, right? And so,
Yeah.
to me, that would be the biggest lesson is in how you maintain for the long run a team that will. I mean, you can't make any guarantees that they'll win the cup, but you can build it in such a way that you can guarantee that they make the playoffs on a almost annual basis and will be competitive moving forward.
Yeah. And before I kick it to Coach, and I'm curious on his take here, just in case we have any Leafs fans that watch this, I just want to be clear, right? I'm not saying that I don't want to dance on their graves here in terms of, like it is. I feel bad for Leafs fans, because it is a long period of time where they had a really good team and just weren't able to get it right. And I'm not saying that, like, obviously Montreal, the reason I bring it up in a Montreal Canadiens podcast is that, it could easily go that way. It just shows you, like, you're right. It's hard to win in the NHL, to win a cup and top, but it's just such an interesting time because, like I said, it's the most pivotal time in the whole process right now and how you're going to build it, right? So, Coach, like, what's your take? Like, what's the biggest lesson that Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon can take from what I guess we can call a failed rebuild with the Toronto Maple Leafs, one that had so much promise with, like they were able to draft Austin Matthews. They have Mitch Marner. Like, what went wrong and what can Montreal learn?
My two come in my head quick is the salary cap. For the money of the players, like there was overwhelming with 38, 40%, maybe 44%, maybe, but for the core, we'll call them. Secondly, the trade deadline. The trade deadline, they gave a lot of first round pick, and what you have a team try to, when you start to go in the playoff, the first year, the second year, third year, you realize what is missing, right? You miss the missing piece to get the next round, the second round, the third round. And when you don't have anyone to trade, or you lose all your assets just for the trade deadline to pick up a player for X time, and then you lose this player, does not help a lot. So I think this is what I feel if I was Ken Hughes, okay, how did not work over there? And not only Toronto, you can jump in with other.
Yeah.
And then you can flip the side, the coin. Marco then looking about how Tampa Bay built that team. The Dallas Stars did it, and also the Florida Panthers. So I think this is a two ways I can see that. The good news about this, Marco, I think you nail it, is like they can learn from other teams, and not to be unique. And I think that's what they are. And I blame them this week where it's not negative when I blame them, but they are responsible, Marco, the roster. This is them. They bring 23 players on the ice, right? This is what they're looking for. And I think they make some mispick players. Start the season with only 13 forward, lost Sammy Blair for nothing. Not that Sammy Blair will be a differential players for the team, but it will bring a body. Well, I think for me, he's missing the intern, Marco, like the competition inside. Like, Strabo and Jacky look at each other and said, no big deal. We can play next game. I know nobody can pick up our spot. Same thing with Joe Leno. Joe Leno become now, so it's easy and nobody can pick up my stuff, my place. And then you have to go a level. They have after you pick 1, 2 players, it drop. I don't think so. The depth is still there. I think they have missing a couple of pieces of the puzzle. But this is part of the roster construction. If you make 1 or 2, 3 mistake, but you can pay the price at long term, and then your window is over, and something never go the next things, the next phase. So, I think this is for me this season, next season, and the following year. This is a 3 year in front of Ken Hughes. They have to hit the target most of the time. They cannot go backwards, and
Oh yeah,
this is
coach.
there.
Like this is like we are now like again, like I think I mentioned this in your chat, right? Like Nick Suzuki is going to be 30 in 4 years. So that's why like I know some people have criticized me for bringing this up, like comparing Montreal to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the reason it's a cautionary tale, guys. That's why I bring it up, right? Like it goes by fast. Like Martin Saint Louis talks about aggressive patience. That's what Hugo needs to have right now, right? I'm glad that they're not doing a move just to make a move, but they have to be aggressive because competitive windows go by very, very quickly. For me, the biggest takeaway, then we can finish up on this one. For me, the biggest takeaway, remember how Martin Saint Louis always talks about always going with the truth? To me, the biggest mistake they made in this rebuild is the management team, especially Shanahan, just not wanting to see the truth about their team, and just always kind of like running it back with the same players after you see that they failed, right? Like, so just the inability to properly assess the team that they had. And then it's, so not only is it hard to make the right move to find the right players, but it starts with truth. And Martin Saint Louis talks about that all the time. So for me, that's what I hope Montreal learns is, and that's why, like just because they're winning, it's not always the truth. It's not always the truth that just results are not always what they seem to be. So to me, that's the biggest takeaway is believing what you're seeing and not selling yourself on your program, making changes if you need to. To me, that's the biggest
was really good for that.
And the other thing I would throw in is when you're looking at the Leafs, right? Like you could have all the talent you want, but what was their identity? What is their identity? Right? Like you never could attach, a headline to what they were and what their game represented. Was it strictly offense? Because if that's the case, I don't think, because they spent so much money on the top line, they didn't have much left to try to address the defense, right? And the goalies, like think of the number of goalies that have run through that net over the last, I'll even go 3-4 years, and with the results being pretty much the same thing. So yeah, you have to establish it. I know it's an intangible, but you have to establish that culture first, because if the players aren't on the same page, you could have all the talent in the world and it won't necessarily translate to victories or cups, at least.
Good point. We're going to move on. Mr. Natab, your turn.
Yes, and I was going to ask you to put your music on, Coach. The blue, blanc, and boom after yesterday's game. We saw last night finally that the Habs kind of delivered uh, an intense effort in the game that they brought, and to be successful in the especially in the Atlantic Division, throughout the entire NHL, but you really, really have to bring that kind of effort all the time. And I know you're not going to be able to do it on a night to night basis, but I think on a consistent basis you have to. Right from the opening faceoff, really, I thought yesterday Montreal dictated the tone of the game. They were physical. I thought that they were relentless on the forecheck. And to me, they just seemed like the hungrier team than the Leafs were last night. They came out right from the beginning. I thought that they had a certain swagger to them. They brought a lot of speed to the game that the Leafs could not match. And you could tell also that, they had a chip on their shoulder because of the losses that they've incurred over the last 8 games, that was probably the size of Quebec itself. So I was glad to see that they had more confidence. They were, as coach has been saying, they were hitting a lot more often and frequently yesterday, and it made a difference. Now I want to clarify that. Like I don't always think that they have to break out into fights, but they do have to play a physical game. That part I will definitely agree. And I thought yesterday they answered the bell on a couple of occasions where they stood up for each other, and you need that in order to be successful in the NHL. I thought they overpowered the Leafs on the most cases, and even when the Leafs in the third period had a couple pushes, I thought the Montreal responded equally in return and didn't let the game get out of control. I thought we saw the type of grind that it takes to win out a game, and it's the type of blueprint that you need in order to be successful and to play and moving forward. If you want to be considered to be in the mix, that's the type of game you got to bring pretty much every night.
Oh,
Coach, I'm assuming we're going to do kind of a breakdown of last night's game, so I won't go too deep, right? But I think Intertop's right. Like, definitely you saw. I think the players probably did hear a little blowback, from some of the coverage they heard about not having a great response after Tom Wilson's hit on Jake Evans, right? And you did see them have a good response, right? And I think the big key there under tap, like Coach, even I think I saw on your stream like on Friday that everybody was questioning a little bit why Martin Saint-Louis would have spent so much time when things are not going well and they're getting scored on all the time. Why are they spending time practicing the forecheck? Well, that's why, right? And you saw that last night that the philosophy was, well, if we get pucks in deep and we spend more time in their zone, we're going to spend less time in our zone. And that's what Martin Saint-Louis want to focus on. And I think to your point under tap, that's kind of what the difference was, right? Is just a more direct mentality, getting pucks deep, finishing their checks, playing heavy down low.
Yeah.
And, obviously we saw some players step up to the plate last night too. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more. But to me, that's the players responding to their coach, to kind of what they were focused on, in terms of improving their forecheck, right? And a bit of a response after maybe some people were questioning whether they can play physical. And listen, say what you will, players say that they don't, read social media, they don't watch YouTube clips like this one, maybe about kind of what's going on, but they do. Or if they don't, then their family and friends do, and they tell them about them, right? So I'm sure they've heard that story, having lost to Washington. You're not big enough, you're not strong enough, you're not tough enough to play with those teams. Tony Marinaro was talking about it for the last 2 weeks, looking at Montreal's all the teams that they've lost against are teams that are the biggest in the NHL and all that. So I'm sure that it's all a response to that, and we saw a pretty good response from them.
And in all fairness, Coach Marco, I mean, the Leafs did not have their full squad, but you can't control that, right? You need to bring your A game as much as possible on a nightly basis, and you can only beat what's in front of you. And I thought that they did a great job at doing that.
Well, we're going to move on to mine about that. Mais je me souviens where Sakowski was dominate at the World Championship and also at the Olympics 4 years ago, honestly. And it was impressive. It was at that time 17 years old. And I see some flash last night, Marco, and our top of Sakowski. Yeah. Like, he was driving the play, he was carrying the puck. He was, I don't know, he was faster, but he was like more dominant player we never saw, I believe, since he joined the Montreal Canadiens. Confidence, I would be honest with you, maybe one thing like that. But I see the same kind of play I see him when he played with Slovakia, and the comments of different players like his teammate Thomas Tatar, remember, like he played with him,
Yeah.
and he was talking about Sakowski. So for me, I just want to, je me souviens, just like Quebec, and I think this is a type of players. If you can continue to be more consistency game after game, I think that would be what we expect from him. It's not about the number of the point. Sometimes a play driver, it's all about open up their teammate on the ice. So for me, really impressive by the performance of Sakowski yesterday. So I just want to share it with that. It was nothing big, but I think it was fun to talk about. Sometime we are hard on him. He carrying a lot of pressure. First round pick, and the expectation are high. Carrying now $7 million. So yes, we want him to produce not only on scoreboard but on different things of his game, and he did very well. And I think the fact he split with Caulfield is key. That gave him a better image of who he is really, and it's fun to see him that way. And sometimes Marco, and after when you play with a player older or been in the NHL for a couple of years, you're a little bit more shy to to carry the puck and also shoot the puck everything you because the two other players beside you. How many players play with with other big players in NHL and they take time to adjust themselves in NHL. So for me, it's a great performance of yesterday Sakowski. So I just want to share with that. I talk with start with Inartap about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. Like I've been enjoying the growth that I'm seeing in Slavkovsky. I mean, the one real takeaway from this, because a lot of times it was noted from many people that they thought, well, he was bringing the first line down, and he wasn't the driver of that line, and he was just going for along for the ride on that line, which couldn't have been further from the truth. I think obviously he needed to learn the North American game a little bit better. He did very well in the first line, and now seeing him on the second line, you're starting to slowly see that hey, he's the driver here. Like I think it was you, Marco, that mentioned that. Like or Coach, he's driving the line and he's making the players around him that much better. So and then it becomes all about confidence. Once you start doing it a few times and you become confident that at what you're doing and the players you're with, that's when you start seeing the production. So if he's not producing as much right now, I think that that's something that will come with time as he gets more familiar with Kapanen and Demidov.
Yeah, like Coach, just very quick. Like I think you nailed it. The comparison with the Slovakian team, like I think you're right. Like him being able to drive his own line, it brings a totally different mentality and mindset for him. And one thing you can't overlook too is that he's playing on the left side instead of the right side, which means that he can carry the puck on his strong side. You saw how many times like he was like shielding the puck going around the net and all that. So, I like it when players play on their wrong side. Like I like Caulfield playing on the left side because it's better for a shooter. But sometimes for a player like Slavkovsky who likes to protect the puck, it's better for him to play on his strong side. To me, the thing, and I don't know, like I'm afraid to introduce this, right? But the play on the Dobson goal, if you remember, I don't know if you have that highlight, Coach, but it's such a great play. But where Slavkovsky gets the zone, but then he slows down the play and he's at the top of the zone and lets everything settle down. You know what kind of player does that? Centers. That's a very center type play. Gain the blue line, slow things down. Just saying. Like I know I don't think the Habs are interested in even pursuing that. But to me, like if he can continue that kind of like vision, because I've always said like Slavkovsky is going to be more of a playmaker in the NHL more than a goal scorer, right? He has very good vision. He can pass the puck really well. If he can continue to kind of like transition the puck that way and slow down the play when he enters the zone, it's a very different look for him.
Very impactful. Yeah.
Good point about that. Look, I will move on for a couple of things here. Great comments for that. Let's go with the ad news. Today, we have a signature. Alexandre Tessier signed a one-year deal at $1 million. And then we have Adam Ekstrom got a call up from the Laval. So we're going to start with Alexandre Tessier. Explain who he is and what he brings on the table. If you agree or disagree, people in the chat can also comment about that. And then we're going to move on for Adam Ekstrom. So, and I'll start with TC, puis Marco talk about Engstrom. But you can respond after that. But after that,
I mean, I was a bit surprised, to be honest with you. I know that there was a lot of rumors that Montreal could be a possible pursuer of him when he became available. I think, he's a marginal fourth line player. He's not as physical as some other fourth line players possibly could be, right? But he does bring a little bit of experience. He's going to probably more than likely be, your 13th forward. And I think by signing him, I think it was more a result of Newhook's injury and trying to have somebody that has some experience come to the team. It's $1 million, so it's not a big loss. I think the bigger story here that I had read earlier today from I think it was Nicolas Cloutier. He mentioned that apparently he had 2 or 3 offers. Texier did, and he purposely chose Montreal, and he had a little bit more money coming his way if he had gone elsewhere. But he sort of saw it as an opportunity, and he liked where the team was headed. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like, you're building a culture, and word gets around from players, fans, coaches, media, and that's what you want to see moving forward. He's not. I don't think he's going to add a lot. Like I said, I was surprised that they signed him, but at least he's going to be a filler for a while until we get some of the injuries back.
So Marco, before you answer, I will ask one more question with that, and then you can answer it too. Is this also to protect the Laval Rocket?
Yes,
that's exactly where I was going. Yeah, that's where I was going, Coach.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So a couple things, right? So, first of all, I think this more than anything is a commentary on how tight the trade market is right now. There's just not very much available on the trade market, right? So I think this is Kent Hughes just protecting himself. Like, if God forbid another player gets injured, you're really testing your depth at that point, right? So this is just a and he's going to play. Like, he's going to play right away. He's in Montreal. He's practicing with the team tomorrow. He's for sure going to do the road trip, and he's probably going to play. Because I think, they need a little bit more experience down there. I think that's what they feel, right? They're already the youngest team in the league. And like you said, there's a whole line, Doc, Newhook, Line missing, right? It's a whole line that you're missing there. So I think it is, to protect, really comes. I saw somewhere online, like, it's really basically choosing between him and Farrell. Which would you prefer, right? Like, if somebody gets injured, right? So from what I've seen him play quite a bit, like, I'm not an expert on him, but I did some research on him after. For those of you who think that he's going to kill penalties, he's never really killed penalties before. He's definitely more offensively minded. He's more of a shooter more than a playmaker. But the big difference, maybe from maybe somebody in Laval, speed. He is a very, very good skater. So we know that's a really important piece to what Montreal does. So we'll see. Very low risk thing. Montreal has, I believe, 42 or 43 contracts. So it's not an issue. Yeah. So no issue there. So listen, like, is it the guy that I would have, that is the sexiest guy out there that I would have hoped that Montreal would get? No, but I understand the reasoning. There's just so little available out in the marketplace right now that this is just, Montreal giving themselves a little bit of insurance, and it's free. They didn't have to trade any assets for it. So listen, we'll see how it goes. It's a very low risk. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. No big risk there. For Engstrom, did you want to go there, Coach, or did you want to?
Did you want?
But yeah,
You
you can
want
go there. So just to give a little bit more information about AC, a 45 overall pick,
Yeah,
2017
yeah,
by the Columbus Blue Jacket. Have a one good year, like 6 years ago, I believe. And
yeah,
then he was sent down in American Hockey League. He left the team, 1-2 back in Europe. He come back in
yeah,
NHL. Last season,
yeah. He had
played
like a
31
family.
game in
The
NHL
reason he
with
went
St. Louis Blues. Played in France with the France team, and then they share an 8 game with the Blues. I think
no
it's a
point.
Joe Villano copycat. That's pretty much what I can say.
Yeah.
It's fun,
Well,
So
it's
for
a
me,
little
I
different.
thought
Like
it would
Valeno.
bring Belzile or Dauphin or Condola. I think that would be my first things. Now, I don't know what I called it. I said he's going to sign for 1 year, $1 million, and if it does not work, they can send him down in Laval. That was not affect the salary cap because now you drop the $1 million on the roster. This is 1.125 protection with Laval Rocket. That said, also that will helping a Laval a long term if they go farther in the playoff whatsoever. So um, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's not a big deal, but it's 26 years old, and sometimes change the scenery, maybe a couple of months, maybe it can help in Montreal. Gonna be worse
Yeah,
anyway, so we'll see what
different
happening
style
about.
of player though. Like when you're comparing him to Valeno, Coach,
Yeah,
like he's more of a shooter than kind of like a guy that like a Valeno, right? So he is more of a shooter. Not that he's scored a lot in the NHL, but he's more of a shoot first mentality. And just so you, I don't know if you guys remember the reason that he was in Europe, because he like people might look at his profile and see that he was in the NHL player assistance program. It wasn't for anything like negative, like he had I think he had some family tragedies and needed some support, and that's why he moved to Europe. So it's not like he went to Europe because no NHL team wanted him or anything like that. It's because he had some family issues and he wanted to be a bit closer to home. So just in case you're reading that and you're assuming that there's something weird happening in his career. And last thing to mention about him, Coach, he does have a little bit of playoff experience. Like he was part of that Columbus team that upset Tampa Bay
the least.
in the bubble, the team that beat Toronto. So he has a little bit of playoff experience as well too, playing in a top nine.
Yeah,
So listen,
240 games. So it's
yeah,
not like a rookie like that. So we'll see. How the Montreal send down Joshua well, or they have to make a move?
I don't think they need to. Like
I,
they have the roster space to keep. Well, I
I
guess yeah.
think
Like
they'll.
we'll have
I
to go
think
down.
they'll
Yeah,
wait. I think they'll wait till after the West Coast trip that they have. I think that's part of the reason why even Engstrom has come up, right, to assist with that because he does add very good speed, and some of the teams that are ahead of them that they're going to be playing, Colorado, Vegas, like they can bring that dimension to the game, and so you want somebody like Engstrom to be there, and I think they might put Roy back down. I think that's a distinct possibility.
yeah. For Angstrom, Coach, like I think all of us were a little bit surprised. Like not surprised in the sense where he doesn't deserve it. Like I think he absolutely, especially after the weekend that he had. Like for those of you, I'm sure you've heard, like he had a 5 point night. Just had a really, really good start. He's already surpassed his like yearly goal total so far, and it's like less than 20 games in Laval. So listen, in terms of like merit, there's no question that he deserves a call up. I guess some of
Absolutely.
us, a lot of people were wondering, like, okay, like, is it really the right time, like, to bring him up? Like, where are you going to play him? Like, you're not going to bring him. The reason that they're bringing Del Gaizo up and down is because they don't care. They don't mind sitting him, bringing him on a road trip. But so to me, it says like if they're calling up Angstrom, they're going to play him. Like, they're not just going to call him
Well, they
to
have
experience the
um,
culture.
Marco. They have the back-to-back with Vegas and Colorado. I think Colorado's the second of that back-to-back. So I would
Yeah.
expect them, and again, I have no knowledge of this, but I would expect them to play in that Colorado game and somebody sitting out for
Well,
that.
here's the
The
question,
other,
guys. Like,
the other thing to keep in mind is also that helps explain why they might come up. I think Laval has a week off, if I'm not mistaken. So it doesn't affect the team as much to have them come up to Montreal as a call up. So it's a good strategy, especially when you're on the road and you never know, an injury could come up again, and it's good to have that insurance.
So the question to me, I guess, is, so I don't know, they were off all week. I thought, or did they not play at all this week? I thought they played on Wednesday.
No,
They don't play at all this week?
no,
I think you
I
have to
I
go all the
believe
way to next weekend, I believe.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. So listen, then that makes a lot more sense that he wouldn't have been playing in Laval anyway. So that's interesting. To me, this is, again, and I'm just guessing, right? But Montreal, like we're talking about how Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon has some important decisions to make. Well, he's a big decision that they have to make, guys, because at some point here, like you have to decide whether you're going to re-sign Mike Matheson, right? And if you do re-sign Mike Matheson, where does Engstrom fit in? Like he's playing like right now he's playing on the right, but I think for me it makes sense. Like you want to see what this kid can do at the NHL level, because you need to make some really important decisions of what you're going to do. Like, are you moving off Jackeye? Are you moving off Struble? Are you if you're signing Matheson, which it looks like they're going to, right? I think we all agree that that's kind of how it's trending. If they do sign Matheson, and again, PLW is going to attack me once I mention this name here, but are you moving off Gooley? Are you moving off Jackeye? Are you moving off Struble? If you're signing Engstrom, and the only thing if you move off Jackeye or Struble and you're adding Engstrom or even Gooley, if you're moving off Gooley, to me, I'm a little concerned about the mix on their back end. I think Engstrom is going to be a very good player. To me, I see him more of a replacement for Matheson than a replacement for Jackeye or Struble, because he's not that physical. Like he's a tall guy, and he's not small, but he's not a physical defenseman.
He's a very good skater.
Yeah, he's a great skater, but that's not something that we lack right now on the back end, right? Like Montreal is probably the most mobile blue line out there in the NHL, honestly. So here's another contrast, guys. We were just watching the Toronto Maple Leafs last night, right? The big criticism for that defensive core is they have no puck movers. All their defensemen are kind of the same, other than Morgan Riley, who can kind of move the puck. They're all big, stay-at-home, tougher defensemen, and they wanted to get tougher for the playoffs to compete with teams like Florida and everything else. But you need a mix on your blue line. So if you're bringing in Engstrom, let's say you play him on the right with Lane Hudson, is that really the right mix that you want? I think it's Montreal's blue line is like, I think they're really well set up. Like they have a lot of good options, but like we're talking about roster construction wise, how are you going to build it? Like to me, where does Engstrom fit in if Matheson is going to stay? So to me, it makes perfect sense why they're calling him up. They need to see what he can do. He's gotten the right opportunity here to see. And where do you guys think they're going to play him? Do you think they're going to play him in Jackeye's spot with Carrier, or do you think they're going to play him on the right with Hudson?
No, I think if he gets a turn in, it'll probably be for either Struble or Jackeye. I think that's
where would you put him, Entertap? Would you put him on the
the beauty of it is, and that's where he gives you the versatility. I mean, he plays both sides, and he has. So depending on who's coming out of the lineup, right now you have an overabundance of left-handers, right? So he might have to play on his off wing in order to get him in the lineup.
Well, he plays right. Like right now, he plays right in Laval. Like he's played his whole career. Yeah. So we should basically consider him a right defenseman. So either, to me, the most logical spot that they're going to try him is on the right side. Maybe you put Hudson back on the left and you put Engstrom on the right. Okay. But again, in the long run, guys, like in the short term, it's fine. We want to see what he can do. But do you see that being a good pair, Hudson and Engstrom? Like, I think we all saw kind of Reinbacher eventually, like a bigger stay-at-home kind of guy. Engstrom, he's kind of like Matheson and Dobson, right? Like he is spectacular, but he takes a lot of risks and he's a bit error prone because he tries lots of cool stuff out there. Do we need another guy like that on the back end? We already have 3 of them. I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean, it could also be, posturing for a possible move, because we hear that they're very active in terms of, trying to improve the team as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to happen this year, right? It could happen over the summer, but it's an opportunity to at least put him in a situation where many will see him, and you get to evaluate him as yourself in terms of what he's able to do.
And guys, like I'm seeing PLW saying don't put him on his left side, but his whole career he's played on the right side. Like that's the side that he plays, even though he's left-handed.
Other great comments in the chat. Welcome, everybody. If we don't say welcome to you, all of you, welcome. And don't forget, please click on the like, subscribe, become a member if you want to help the support of the channel. A lot of comments in the chat about Engstrom and also Marco and Artap. There are different ways I will answer that one. For me, is if you use him Wednesday, I think they're going to remove Jekai, in my opinion. And then they're going to use him Friday. If we play a good game, they're going to stop. Maybe Strobel will be out after that. And then it will be like this. And then maybe give him a day off Saturday. I could be wrong here, but that's what I expect. Why Utah is Jagai out? Because Utah is not like a physical team like Vegas and Big Body, everything like that, and Colorado. So I think it will be the way. Now, I could bring a good point here. And if I see the 3 years map for the roster for the Montreal Canadiens, for what I see, I would say Coley, Dobson, Madison, Hudson, and then you have Jekai. That's my 5 defensemen right there. And then you're going to add Engstrom, that was my number 6. And I believe Carrier will be out, Strobel will be out from that, and Rebecca is going to be the next 12 players on that one over there. So for me, a long term or the next 3 years.
You see Weinbacher as the 7th defenseman coach?
No, on my list. It's not like a ranking. Yeah. I just put my 7 defensemen. Okay. So that said, that would be the way to do that. I think that would be the same. I think Carrier, with all the respect, every time you cannot carry on small defensemen all the time in your team, and Carrier will be the extra right there. I don't see him there. So you're going to have on the right side, a little bit like Florida did, and many teams win, and they do this. 2 right defensemen and 4 left defensemen. And advantage, she said, is Engstrom is the right defenseman. So I think that would be good about this. And the reason I kept Jekai is the physicality of the game. Everything is bigger body. And I think at some point you maybe need him as an extra player. I think for what we have and what we know. Now, I will say to you again, we have extra defensemen. We don't know what we're going to look like in 3 years, but Konishkov is one of them. I don't know if he's going to be good enough for Montreal. And for me, I see 2 other defensemen and on that prospect right now, Pickford and Owen Bratz. That's pretty much what we got right there. Unfortunately for William Trudeau.
There's Middlestat too, Coach, right?
Middlestat, but I think for me, Middlestat, it will not be better what we have, and I think it will be just, obviously, a good player in the American Hockey League, but not much, in my opinion. I could be wrong about him, but I will see. Again, for me at this moment, Engstrom fit very good. I said, Engstrom right now, with this, what I see, and there's nothing wrong with Jekai, Strobel, and Carrier. For my opinion, Engstrom have more ceiling, call it ceiling, right? So you have more, ceiling is higher in my opinion versus the 3 player right there, and I maybe include Rebecca. And
like you need Reinbacher to hit, guys. Like ultimately, what you would like to see on each D pair, you'd like to see 1 puck mover and 1 stay-at-home, more defensively reliable kind of guy on each pair, right? I think most people saw that. Yeah, ideally, right? Like it's rare that like right now you have Matheson and Dobson that are a kind of the exception to that rule, right? Like they're but I think you can't have all 3 pairs it's too much of a good thing is a bad thing, is what I'm saying, right? Like they can't all be puck movers. Jackie's physical guy. If Reinbacher plays out the way that we think he is, he's going to be a good puck mover, but he'll be more reliable defensively, bigger body, defend with a stick. And then Gouli, like if he can stay healthy, he's a really good, rugged two-way defenseman, something that Montreal doesn't have. Like Gouli is kind of like he's kind of like a unique duckling in what Montreal has. He's like the all around. He has a little bit of everything, right? So the only problem with him is staying healthy. So we hope that's going to be the case because we need a guy like Gouli to be balanced on the decor. So listen, I'm very excited to see. Worst case, it's going to bring some energy. Like you were saying, Coach, a little internal competition for Struble and Jacki doesn't hurt either. So I like that.
Pierre said he don't expect Engstrom to be a part of the game at Montreal. He is there to get rewards, everything. So we'll see what happens about him. But I hope he can play for me because it's about evaluation. And 1 or 3 games will be good for him. I'm watching guys.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if he didn't draw in, Coach. I'd really be shocked. I think that Colorado game is when we'll see him on the back-to-back.
Yep. I'm watching guys Chicago and Colorado.
Yeah,
the first period, 11-2 the shot for Chicago. The second period, 19-1 Colorado. Now we are at the third period with 5 minutes to go remaining. Now Colorado just get a second shot of the period. Wow. That's weird. That's wild to do that. So I just want to mention that. Nothing big right there. Recap game, Toronto, Montreal. We're going to see what we look like on this set. Let's move on to the next thing. Here we go. Montreal 5-2. What I'm doing, I'm going to give you all this fun information, and then you can go from there. Marco first. Montreal Canadiens dominate the Leafs. Dominate is the right words. And Sharks take the lead 2-0. Macklin Celebrini score is 14 of the year, still by the 40 love. And the Flames scored 2 goals back-to-back. Morgan Frost and Blake Coleman score is 8 of the year, 2-1 over the Vancouver Canucks. The Flames are 2-1-0 in the last 3 games. I just want to say that. That's no big deal. But anyway, Dobson, 2 goals. Anderson, 2 goals. Lane Hudson, 1 goal. Demilov Madison, +2. Sakowski, 1 point. 1 assist. Tobash, 9-3. Florent Jacquet debut, 3rd star of the game, 1 assist, 1 fight, and very physical. And I'm going to give you one more thing here, guys. A good second pair for the Montreal Canadiens, 17 shot. This is rare. Montreal have 17 shot this season. The 6 versus 5 sequence of 90 seconds was amazing. The 4-checking, the physical, the win battle, the faster team was the Montreal Canadiens, and then the team effort of the Montreal Canadiens also. It was very good. So it's your turn, Marco, to talk about this. I'm going to go back here, and then you can go back and forth. But let's see what happened on this. Super Chat, Maurice Robillard, ladies and gentlemen, Maurice Robillard, sud de la Thaïlande, hit the goal tonight. Thanks so much. Oh my God! Thank you. He scored the first goal tonight, Mr. Maurice Robillard. Thanks so much on that one. I'm going to get an assist to Mr. Ovidio, get an assist on that one. And then I'm going to get an assist for Mr. Gradenis on this one too. So congratulations on the goal of Maurice Robillard. Merci beaucoup to support the Hockey Nation. Very nice from you, Marco.
Yeah, so I think we touched on it a little bit. Like to me, guys, the biggest difference in the game for me was because let's be honest, like the first 10 minutes, pretty equal, right? Like I think a little bit slow and I think it was a bit of a chess match, and you could say that Toronto probably didn't they kind of have the first 6 shots, like the shots were like 6-0. So Toronto actually had a pretty good start to this game, and for me, I was very nervous watching Dobesh in net still, all game, to be honest. But I think the really big difference was the fact that Montreal got the first goal. I felt like the whole team just really, really relaxed after they were able to score first. I think that was a really, really big change of what we've seen in the last maybe 5-6 games. Like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I don't believe Montreal scored the first goal in any of those 5 or 6 games that they lost. If so, maybe it was one, but it's been pretty rare that they've been able to score the first goal and they're not chasing the game right away. In fact, there's a couple of games where, especially Montebo, was allowing a goal on the very first shot, right? So just being, even though, again, guys, I want to don't get me the wrong way, right? People are going to think I'm party pooper here, and I see all over the over Twitter yesterday, like Dobesh, and you look, okay, Dobesh 923 save percentage yesterday. Okay, still didn't look super confident and centered in net to me at all. He was battling for sure. And that's something we love about Dobesh. He battles, but he was still losing his net a lot and all that. So, but he fought through, and he gave Montreal, he didn't let it go. He didn't let it in. That's really what it kind of, he didn't look good doing it, but he didn't let a goal in. And I think, that helps, guys. Like, honestly, like, just getting that first goal, you could see it just kind of relaxed everyone. And then like the drop of the puck in the second period, it's like Montreal came out ready to pounce over the Leafs. Like, we know that Montreal's really struggled in the second period so far this season. I believe they're -9 going into last night's game in goal differential in the second period, while the Leafs were -11. So a team that's even worse than Montreal in the second period.
Montreal
you
was -13 before the game started last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
no, the last 4 games. Like, remember Dallas 4 goal?
Yeah. But I mean, overall,
Washington 4 goal.
Yeah, but overall for the season, they were -9 going into last night. Yeah, and Toronto was -11 for the whole season. So it's been bad. Either way, Coach, we're mincing numbers here, but bottom line, they're not very good in the second period with the long change. But Toronto was even worse. And like you talked about off the top, Coach, like, there's that one sequence, where they had the 6-on-5 where they were just Harlem Globetrotter around, like, and they had possession of the puck for over a minute and a half. And so Toronto was you can just see that Montreal's speed and like we talked about, the work that Martin Saint-Louis had them do on the forecheck was really, really, really kind of came through. So listen, really big win, very well deserved. I think Martin Saint-Louis talks about it all the time. Like, in the third period, it's just psychologically very hard, like, for a team to keep that level. If you're winning like 4-0 or 4-1, the other team's going to take risks, and it's just very hard to kind of stay in that frame. So, they had that power play goal that Nylander scored in the third, and then you're kind of like, okay, and Dobesh was looking a little. So the good news is that they were able to lock it down, and Dobesh was able to make the save. So listen, I hope this is a good building block for Dobesh, but by no means, like, when people are saying like Dobesh had a strong game, I don't know if I would go that far.
No,
I don't know if you guys
I want to consider Marco because I think you're absolutely right. I said the same thing. Yeah, he did enough, Marco, to keep the team in the game and make enough save to give a chance to Montreal win the game. That said, for me, I explained this way. Like, he was shaky from the beginning to the end. He was not the right position. He was not square to the puck. He was fighting the puck. Rebound, not controlling, everything.
Have you noticed that? He's not able to, he can't catch a puck. Yeah. Like, he's not able to catch it. Like, I don't know what it is.
If you notice, both goalies have very similar deficiencies in many regards, with the rebounds that are allowed, tracking a puck that's shot on net, over sliding on either side, overplaying it, to the point sometimes that they leave they leave a part of the angle open so that they can score. Again, I don't want to get into that right now, but when you see not one, but both your goalies with the same type of deficiencies, then I start to question, is that more a goalie coach problem, right? But as to coach's point, I think that even though he didn't have the greatest of games, I thought he made some key saves at key times that at least kept the team in the game, right? And confident that they can rely on him. There's nothing more demoralizing than, first shot of the game and it's in the
Yeah, yeah,
net already.
no question.
And
I still,
it's tough.
my point is like for sure, like, and that's what I mean. Like scoring the first goal, that's a big game changer, right? Scoring the first goal. I'm not as going to go as far as saying that he was exuding confidence back there. Like I don't think the team was looking at
No,
how he was playing,
not
and that
necessarily.
they were
He
like
was jittery. He was jittery.
very jittery, right? So, and I saw a lot of your. I think I saw your last stream, and you guys were talking about people were complaining about like the man-on-man system. Why are they playing that? Like it's insane, guys, how much players changed their confidence level based on how confident the goalie looks, right? So to me,
100%.
that's something that really like. So listen, like we're gonna see how it plays out here next week, but to me, it's again overall, you gotta love beating the Toronto Maple Leafs on a Saturday. Nothing is better. Nothing is better in life, honestly, than beating the Toronto Maple Leafs on a Saturday night. I think I think it was Ronald Coré told one of his GMs, like, I almost don't care if you make the playoffs, just make sure you beat the Leafs. Like it's that important, right? To beat the Toronto Maple Leafs on a Saturday. So really big win. Good to stop the hemorrhaging, but let's not get carried away. Still lots of issues here. Let's not forget the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing very, very poor hockey right now, and they were missing obviously Matthews and Nyes. So exciting, but let's not get carried away here either. Still lots of work to do.
And they have a brutal record, or sorry, they have a brutal schedule up until New Year's. So yeah,
16
it's a
game and the next
yeah,
28 days until Christmas. 16
Yeah,
game and 20. It's not two
and
game
it's a
per
hard
night. Like
schedule.
it's like
Yeah,
not two, one day play and then day off and then they play again. It's like 16, 28. That's crazy.
and without a doubt, that's where the season will be pretty much established. I think they have to stay the course and hope that this is a building block to get them back at the level that they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, absolutely about that. Any comments about the game, Narta?
I think we hit on most of those. Again, the only thing I would disagree, Marco, I didn't think that they were sort of stale at the beginning of the game. I thought that they right off the bat they did come out and started taking the body and did not allow the Leafs to really get anything going offensively.
Mhm.
And
The
and I
shots were
thought that
the
was
shots
key.
were like
Like,
seven. The shots were like 7-1 after 10 minutes, though, for Toronto.
yeah, they were, but I didn't think that there was anything of real consequence in their shots. I thought that they were Montreal was cycling the puck better. Nothing like the second period, obviously. I think that they put on quite a clinic in the second period, but I thought they were taking the body. I think they were listening to Coach Frenchy the other night when he said, "If you're not, if Jack I started it all, like he had 2 hits in the first 4 minutes, so." And he ended off the night, I think, with 4 or 5 hits. So, you know, and it's contagious. Once you get one or two players engaged in that, it builds momentum, and that's what we saw on Saturday.
Great comments, Narta. By the way, Mr. Narta, if they don't listen to my show, they should listen to my show because they will be better at the end of the day. By the way, I nailed it with Jekai. I nailed it with Engstrom. Just Kakonen, I didn't nail it, honestly. I nailed it for the contract of the TC 1 year, $1 million. So I have some kind of connection in some of the team. But look, for me, this is a great game. It was dominate for Montreal, play 60 minutes. They play smart. They play the way they should. The intensity is a forechecking team. And I believe, Marco, every line played a role. Like you said the 4-line, Marco, what we want for the 4-line guys is to bring the momentum of the game deep in the zone of the offensive team. If you do that, you do a great job. You don't need to score Villano, Gallagher, and Davidson, but bring that puck deep in the zone, keep them, get fatigued for you get the next lines coming from the first Montreal. The first line's coming, now you get a momentum, and then you continue like that. I think Montreal, as a collectivity, as a team together, it was very impressive. The second period, it was the best period for years, Marco, at the second period. It's rare you see Montreal dominate like that, 17-1, the 6 versus 5 guys. This is why I said, I'm still alive or I'm dead. And I'm watching Lafleur drive, and then Robinson, and then, wow, that was crazy. The passing between all those players, 6 versus 5, the only thing they did not do is capitalize on the goal.
Shoot the
and
puck.
also,
And shoot the puck out. Shoot the puck. Shoot the puck more often.
And also, who's called? Zuki got robbed twice.
Yeah, in the first minute. In the first minute, they had like I think 2 one-timers, right? Suzuki had the one-timer. Like one thing, like honestly, we didn't mention it, but if it wasn't for Wool, that game easily could have been 6-7-0 after the second period. It was a mercy. Oh yeah, like he robbed like Slavkovsky. He robbed a couple one-timer shots that like he was incredible, and it was just a mercy pool. They just took him out because Stolarz is injured as well in Toronto. So mercy pool for him. So Montreal, they probably they're probably goals under expected. It's probably they should have probably had at least seven goals after the second period.
Yeah. Look, I think that's pretty good. The 4-second physical, one battle faster, team effort. I really like the performance overall. And again, Toronto, it's just better. It's just like it's just better to see that and everything. I think that I want to talk about, of course, want to go to the stood out. I think people can about this. No, not this one over there. Apologize. And the stood out, the obscure, the other office, and now we have the turning point on that. So let's go with Marco. He is on the routine like that. So Marco is going to start everything. Then we're going to move on, everybody. So everybody in the chat, if you have your 4 pick, you stood out, obscure, office, and point. We're going to sharing this live also. So tell us who they are. And Marco, you're going to be the first one.
Well, by the way, love the graphic. It's the first time I see this one, so that's kind of cool.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah. We started last week.
And it's official now. Like we've been doing this segment for a while, but now we have a cool graphic to make it official. So
getting better. Cool. Right? AI is getting more into the hockey nation.
Very nice. I love it. So for me, stood out like that's a tough one. Like there was a pretty strong game. I guess you kind of have to go with Dobson, just because he had the 2 goals and everything else, and I think he definitely had a strong game. Obscure, you mentioned it off the top, Coach, like how, and I think Entertap, how Slavkovsky, like if there was an extra assist that was given in the NHL, he would have a lot more points, right? Because he's always involved, like he's pretty important in a lot of the goals. He just hasn't been collecting points, but he's doing all the right things and winning puck battles and always kind of the 4th man in on a goal kind of thing. So for me, even though he stood out a lot, but just because he didn't get any points, maybe I would say obscure for Slavkovsky. At the office, I'll leave you the freebie. I think there's a pretty obvious one, Entertop, so I'll leave you the freebie, and I'll say Dobesh, like I was mentioning before. Like if I'm Raymond, I'm calling him in the office and so, hey, trying to pump his tires. Great win, kid. Now let's go back to the video and see how we can continue to kind of like get you a little calmer in the net. So I would still have him in the office, but not, to try to build him up, right? Like to try to get his confidence up a little bit. So that's who I would have in there because I'm still a little bit nervous about the goaltending guys. And I'm not sure. What do you guys mean by the turning points? Like a player that turned around the game? Is that what you mean?
Not necessarily the game. What do you see the game's turning point? The game. like
Okay.
specific
Okay.
moment,
could be
everything
a
like that.
it
If
could
you
be an
lose,
incident. It
what
could be a
the turning
player.
point of the
Okay.
game?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So for me, like I said earlier, the turning point was Montreal scoring the first goal. I think just scoring the first goal, getting those saves. So, like that middle part of the first period where they were able to take the lead, to me, that's the turning point. Because if Toronto scored first, all the demons come back, all the questions come back. Maybe Dobesh is even a bit more nervous. So for me, the turning point for sure is the scoring the first goal. And then, and by the way, guys, another turning point. Why did Toronto not challenge that goal? If I'm chief on that one, I'm definitely challenging that goal because Gallagher is definitely in the crease. Um, I don't know. I think Montreal was
Push them.
lucky that they didn't challenge that goal. But so to me, that's a turning point. Maybe not Sheldon Keefe, but like Berube doesn't charge or doesn't challenge that first goal. They get it, and then a minute later they score the second goal. Everybody is a little bit more relaxed, and then they start to play their game. So to me, that would be the turning point.
Good point about that, Mr. Antep.
So, so just to recap, Marco, you had Dobson as your standout. You had Obscure was
Slav.
Sakaski.
Slavkovsky, to the office, Dobesh, and your turning point was the first goal of the game, or at least
Yeah,
the quick start
yeah,
to the game. Great.
yeah, yeah.
For me, yeah, they're all solid picks, of course. With my standout, I'm going to go with Dobson. Sorry, I was thinking about Dobson. I'm going to go with Matheson, actually. I thought that he played just as good a game as Dobson. Both of them carried the play all night long. I think Matheson had over 23 minutes of ice time. He had 2 assists. He was a +3. He had, I think, 3 shots on net. He blocked a couple of shots. He had one or two hits as well. So he was overall solid, and I think that's what we're seeing, and we need that kind of production from the back end. And so when you see it coming from Dobson and Matheson and Hudson, it sort of dictates how Montreal is going to do in the game. Obscure, I'm going to go with Josh Anderson. I thought that every time he plays the Leafs, he kind of takes it to a different level. He doesn't always score, but
Yeah.
yesterday he did. He had 2 goals. He was a +2. He had I think 2 or 3 shots.
Five eight,
He didn't hit it. Sorry,
5-8.
5. No, I don't think it was that. It was it 5. Yeah, you're right, Coach.
I
Five
think it
hits.
was the
Yeah.
lead in Montreal with that part.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And he played over 18 minutes. So, I mean, he was a force because unfortunately, some nights he's invisible, and that's not who he needs to be. He needs to be visible every single night. And I thought he brought it yesterday. So that's why I classify him as obscure. To the office, if we're thinking the same thing, I'm going with Zachary Bolduc. Unfortunately, I think he's having challenges being on that first line right now. He only had a couple shots. He really wasn't that much of a physical force either. He only had one hit. I think it'll come around for him. I mean, he's got too much talent for it not to. But for yesterday's game, I'll put him in the office. And my turning point, I'm just going to do the letter X because it's the Jack-Eye family for me, and not just the brothers, but the mother and the father that were in the in the stands as well, watching the game. I thought that they brought a lot of emotion to the game. Between them, they had 7 of the hits. Jack-Eye Florian also had an assist. He had a fight, which he did very well in. They blocked between them 5 shots. So overall, it was great, and they played. I think they both played over. Well, Arbor I think played 15 minutes, which was great, and Florian had just under 10 minutes. So good start, and they brought a different energy that was lacking to the team.
Good point. You name it. Almost everyone I was talking about this morning, so we don't change it. I agree with Marco. That stood out. That stood out. I have Dobson. Now on the obscure, um, I named me Mike Madison on my obscure. I would say that he had 2 passes,
Oh,
but he finished with +3 last night. Every
yeah.
time was on the ice, it was nothing happened for Toronto. He was carrying the puck. He did all the details for me. He checked all the details for me. The game, Mike Madison, great pass on the goal, of the Josh Anderson, I believe, on that one. So for me, it was good. But I gave also mention Juraj Slavkovsky and Marco on that
Yeah.
one. That said, at the office, guys, I go with Budzik. Budzik, for me, exactly what Enartab said. I think for me, he did not have a great game from on that point. My turning point, guys, is the second period. Um, and I refer to things. First, the 6 versus 5 did not score, but I think that gave them some kind of the momentum and some kind of win and some kind of confidence after that. And I think for me, the third goal of the game at the second period, I will be my turning point. I believe it was Dobson, or I think it is the third goal, I believe. Hudson, Dobson, or Anderson, Dobson. Anyway, that third goal, guys, it become 3-0. That will be important. It was very good. That said, the first goal, like Marco said, I think confidence helping them because he was trail on the scoreboard for one reason. And for the Jekai, I would say the forechecking at the first period was excellent. It was Anderson, Evans, and the Florent Jekai was make another turnover of a great point for the game for the Montreal. So that's all my selection on that. And we'll see who's going to get out of that. So we're going to move on for other things, if you don't mind, everybody. Great, a lot of conversation in the chat, everybody. Don't forget, please click on the likes. 31 Rams versus Buccaneers. I don't know. That's make a big fun for all of you, but if you follow football, I'll give you this on this one. I want to give you a couple of questions before we move on. On the first of all, guys, we have to take a moment here. I know it's not tough for a lot of people. Only 15 people participate at the contest of the Survivor. But the Hockey Nation Show are the first winner of the first night of the Survivor. And we had to congratulate and PLW is the winner of the Saturday Survivor pool. So congratulations, Mr. PLW. And perfect. 6-6 for PLW. He did not die one time. We died twice, us of us, but he did not, and he is the winner. So what happening, guys? We'll restart next week. So we're going to Survivor round 2 of the season. So you can join us. It's easy. You send us the pick Thursday, Friday, or Saturday before the game start, and we pick up you and go move on. You have 2 live to that. So you get eliminated first time you round. You can stay on the second round, and then if you cannot pick the same team twice, so you have only two times to select the same thing. So I just want to sharing this with all of you.
You did better in your Survivor pool than our hockey pool this week.
Yeah. So my excuse I would say to you is 2 things. First of all, you have maybe your best week of the year. And second thing I would say to you, I play with 6 injury. It's not a miss, but you cannot win with 6 injury week after week. It's impossible. So I have a McEnroy this week, Burakovsky again this week. I have Benson. Iman came back. That's the only one. I have Norris. I have Thomas Shabbat. And I have one more. I have 7, to be honest with you. So you cannot do anything about that. But we take a week off. We're going to come back a bit later. And
I needed that win. So
at least you. I play Marco with on the right things. I don't cheat. I don't trade. I don't try to shock everybody else.
I just the rules, and then you don't want to live by them.
But we'll see what happens about that. The next thing I want to share with all of you guys is honestly, what's next for Hugo? You have a Blues rumor. I don't know if you heard about that. It was announced by Darren.
Dreger.
Here you go. About you have some kind of conversation between the Blues and the Montreal Canadiens. So I don't know if you heard that. If it is,
Yeah.
what your expectation? What you think? What did stir the
Well,
pot?
one thing to mention, guys, like I think there's some pretty good reporting that both Nashville and St. Louis have been
Were
heavily scouting Montreal and Laval. They were at the Montreal game and at the Laval game. They had their senior scouting staff. So they have all their guys there. So and to me, those are probably two of the like Nashville is probably the clearest seller in the NHL right now. Nashville is. And St. Louis, like they're not looking to trade for futures; they're looking for hockey trades. So they're not looking to sell off things. So listen, like these are teams that Kent Hughes has traded with in the last year. You know, if you're thinking about Barron for Carrier, and then you're thinking about the Mayu and Bolduc trade. So these are good relationships, obviously, that Hughes has with these with Armstrong and with Barry Trotz, right? So you can and Calgary apparently also there's been some scouting there as well too. So you listen, like Coach, we were talking about it. I think just chatting back and forth in terms of Nashville. Everybody's looking at Stamkos. I think you were talking about Forsberg. To me, I look for kind of like maybe somebody a little bit lower on the lineup, like an Eric Holla, somebody that maybe would be a good fit, a little less expensive for Montreal to get as well. Over 50% on the face-off dot, left-handed center. I think would be a great fit on the third or fourth line. I think it's Texier is not a center. He's played a little bit of center, but Eric Holla is somebody who can win some face-offs. So that's an option. Obviously, O'Reilly has been somebody that has been in the rumors for a while for Nashville. For St. Louis, it's not going to be a secret here. If you've watched me on the show for 2 years now, I've been talking about how Montreal should target Dalibor Dvorsky. I don't think that's the kind of move that St. Louis, I think it would be silly for them to do that. But if there's one guy that I would target from St. Louis, would be Dvorsky, another former a Slovakian player to play with Slav on that second line and with Demidov. Oh man, that would be sexy as hell. What would St. Louis want back for that? I don't know, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, who is Montreal talking about? Like, guys, I hope it's not Kyrou. I really don't see Kyrou as being somebody that would be the right fit. To me, if you want Kyrou, just wait 2 years. Or you're going to have him with Michael Hage. He's kind of the same player, to be honest. Like fast, kind of plays to the outside, skillful guy, but not that gritty. That's kind of how I see
a bit of a
Kyrou.
better scorer, though.
Well, we'll see. Like Kyrou is he's a perennial 30-goal scorer, but he's not somebody that scores on the inside. Those goals do go away when the when the hockey gets a bit tighter. He's just not the style of player I think Montreal needs, to be honest. He's not a fit. Like we've talked about it before here, guys. Like remember what my headline, right? The roster construction, you don't have a lot of opportunities to make mistakes. Like you only have a certain amount of assets that you can trade for something else. So to me, trading for someone like Kyrou would be a mistake. I don't see it. I don't see it being a right fit with what they already have. They need somebody that plays heavier. Yeah. They need a heavier kind of player. Dvorsky, I think,
could be
at least is a center.
I know we've been looking at centers, but it could very well be a winger.
Sure,
that they're pursuing.
I don't see any other wingers that say like Bushkevich. Like, is that a guy that they're looking to move? Like, he's a big, powerful winger, but he's had a terrible start. He only has, I think, 1 or 2 goals. Really, really not clicking for him in St. Louis this year. But he just signed a 7-year contract, guys. I'm not sure Kent Hughes is taking that on. So I'm not sure where the fit, what they're looking at for St. Louis, to be honest. Toropchenko, like a bottom 6 big guy. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're looking at for St. Louis. I hope to God that it's Dvorsky, but I don't think it is. So to me, Nashville is the better trading partner, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so either, Marco. I mean, it would be great. I like Dvorsky as well, but I think that's the kind of player that St. Louis is looking for, right? To keep and to acquire more of, right? Doesn't necessarily like I don't think they're looking necessarily for prospects unless it comes with, or sorry, draft picks unless it comes with a
No,
prospect or something.
they want hockey
Um,
trade. Yeah, they
they
want
want
hockey.
hockey trades, yeah, and we have to keep things in perspective as well. It's not out of the norm that you get scouts attending hockey games. I know they're making more of a note of it because they saw both Stan Durla and Nick Vitucci from Nashville at both the games, and usually they'll send other scouts to do these things, and they do it on a nightly basis. And then Peter Chiarelli for St. Louis was present in both the Thursday game and this one as well. So, but there were others. Like I think I read that there were like 14 different scouts from different teams at the games. I think it's a mistake when you try to solve the problem in season like this. If you're going to make a blockbuster trade, I think it's either at the draft or during the summer, where you can evaluate exactly what you need and what's going on. Like I don't think they're going to change their course of what they're planning to do. They're not going to sacrifice what they've built in order to try to solve a problem. Let's say
Well,
at two
so
C
I
right
disagree
now.
with that. Like, I disagree with that,
What?
Intertap. Like, well, and I think I thought you said that on the stream, I think a couple days ago, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I think you have to sacrifice something to build, right? So I don't
Oh
like
yeah,
if
yeah.
you mean they're not going to sacrifice something for like O'Reilly, for example, right? Somebody that's going to be on the team for a
Or
year or two. I agree, right?
yeah,
Like you're not gonna trade like a first. I don't. You shouldn't trade like Michael Hage or somebody like that for Ryan O'Reilly for somebody that's going to be there 2 years. That I'm with, right?
yeah.
But they're going to have to sacrifice something of value to get what they want in return, right? So
So here's the thing, though, Marco. In a season where we're seeing so much parity, what
yeah,
team would be willing to give up a 2C, regardless of
yeah,
what you're getting in return? It's hard,
I agree. I don't think they're
and
going
it
to get a 2C right now. Like that's
yeah,
why to me, Kala, like just getting a left-handed center because they lost Dvorak, right? Like they just haven't replaced Dvorak. And not to pat myself on the back, but we talked about this summer, guys. Like, there's nobody on the market. And by the way, if you look at the UFA market next summer, who
hmm
do you think the best left-handed center is going to be available on the market again next year? Dvorak, because he only signed 1 year. So, there's just not a lot of centers in the NHL. Like if you go, if you look at every team, go on daily faceoff and look at every single team, look at their lines. There's not a lot of centers that are available. And then Coach and I have
yeah,
done this exercise. Go look at all the centers that have been drafted in the last 3 years. There's not that many. There's maybe like 15, maybe, right? And a lot of them you're not even sure they're going to be centers. So there's
yeah,
just not a lot of centers at all. So to me, you're right. Like you have to hold your bullets for the time, and
yeah,
that's where the patience comes in to get the second line center. But you have to get a center, a left-handed shooting
yeah.
center.
I agree. I just think they have to be careful not to be too anxious to do it right now because first of all, you're not going to get one right now, and usually the time, like I said, it's usually at the draft where during the year maybe you've kicked the tires around with a few teams and a few players and asking questions with the GMs and saying, would this player ever be available if, right? And they sort of park that in the back of their head. And the big business is usually done at like I said, the draft or at the end of the year. A lot of teams make mistakes right now if they go for that kind of a player too early. And yeah, I would agree. Like players that are on an age and are just going to be fillers, you don't want to mortgage your future for that.
Coach, I'm curious. Like, there's one guy that was on our radar because what I do is I look for players that maybe are falling out of favor, with their original team and stuff like that. One guy that's kind of come back on my radar in the last couple weeks is Kent Johnson from Columbus. It's somebody that they re-signed. I think it was somebody that we had talked about a little bit, but then they re-signed him to, I think, like a 4-year deal or something like that. So it kind of like, okay, well, they re-upped with him, and he's going to be a big part of their plan. But if you look at how they use Kent Johnson right now, it's not as a center. I think he definitely has the potential to be a center. He's a little like he's not short. Like he's 6'1", I think. He's very light, right? He's like 170 pounds. But that's somebody that's reappeared on
178.
Yeah. So, somebody that's reappeared on my radar. I'm not saying him specifically, right? But I'm looking at players that maybe teams are a little less high on than they were. But I know that Montreal doesn't want another project like a Kirby Dach either, right? So that's like saying, guys, like this is the hardest part of the whole process, guys. Like, acquiring
if anything
assets.
happens now, Marco, I think it's depth players, right? You're not going to see a blockbuster of any sort,
unless something happens, right? Like
if it lands on
Elliot Friedman always says this, right? Like everything can change with one phone call, right? But it's very hard to happen, right? So, but at the very least, I think we all recognize that. And it's exactly like, I think you said in recently on a stream, Coach, like it's exactly like the Kovacevic situation that they had, right? They thought that Barron or Reinbacher or somebody like that was going to be able to take over his minutes. So they let him go. And then, whoops, that didn't work. So then they had to go trade for Carrier. What did I say this summer? If you don't sign Dvorak, you're just going to assume that Beck or Kapanen's going to be able to take over, and you don't have a left-handed shot. And you bring in Veleno, it's not really working. So they need a solution for that still. It's like, look at that Evans goal, where the Ovechkin goal against Washington. Look how, like, Evans is good on faceoffs, but that should have been a left-handed center taking that faceoff, and then boom, absolutely. It's in the back of your net right away. Like, we need to fix that as soon as possible.
Another great point in the chat, and both of you. I look around, and Marco bring me one name, and then we bring another name, and then I look around more and more. But not like a top. I think Nazem Kadri may be a good fit for Montreal. You have some said yes, some said no. That said, Eric Ola and Sutter for the St. Blues. 2-player, center. And they play, not a big body, but he can face off well. It's pretty good. The contract is not big and only 1 year. And I think if they go that direction, a little bit lower, and not to go the second center with something they want to fix a long term. But I'm going to bring you the next question. There's going to be upset people, but it's okay. I have an tap with me, so I said it because of an tap on that one. But you have a choice. Only one.
Only one.
I believe for me, because Marco talked about roster construction. And he said, if you add Madison, but now you have to maybe to trade one of the defensemen. You tell that, it makes sense to me. Now, my next question. Which one do you trade? Michael Edge or Alexander Zarovsky? One, the questions coming, Marco, is because I believe for me, you have no room for them, for both of them in the top 6. I could be wrong here. If the case, something happened for Montreal. But if you have a choice, and what give you the best value to get someone in return with the Montreal Canadiens? I think it's a good question when nobody talking.
I thought you asked Entertap.
I thought he said Marco. I thought he said
okay,
Marco.
Well, I can go first. I don't mind. Like,
okay, sure, go ahead.
To be honest, I wouldn't be, crushed if they trade both of them. If it depends, guys. Like, honestly, there's probably only about three to four players that are untouchable in my eyes for Montreal. So I'm open to trade anybody if it makes sense, if it's bringing the player that you need to fill out the roster, right? So I'd be fine to trade either of these, but it depends for what. Like, again, if you're trading if
No,
you're
no, we
trading
talk about
Hayes
a
for
solid player, Marco. We don't talk like we talk. You know what I mean? Like a
yeah,
good one, right? It's not like
but
it's not Tage
that's what I mean.
Thompson, but I'm talking about a Bernier or something like major. It's not like
Yeah.
minor or.
So, but again, like I said, it depends what, right? So if you trade Hage for Jordan Kyrou, I'm not going to be happy because that's not the type of player. Just because he's a good player, I don't think it's the right player, right? So if you're trading any of these or both of these guys to get, in my opinion, they need a left-handed second line center. They need a left-handed power, like heavier top six forward to like we talked about Coleman, like that kind of guy or whatever, like maybe a bit younger. Coleman is a little bit older. I'm not sure. I wouldn't trade a top prospect for Coleman, but somebody like that, like a Nichushkin kind of guy, like somebody
I'll
like
give you an
that.
example, like Andrei Shevnikov. I don't said you have to trade him. That's not say I want him, but I'm talking about
No.
a guy can score 30, 35 goals, 37 goals. Again, I
Well,
can
I don't
give
think.
you another name, Wyatt Johnson example. And I say want to be trade.
Yeah,
But I want talking about the quality of the guy who scored 30
yeah.
goals on that area.
My answer is I would trade both if it gives me what I need, if I think it's going to make my team better. If I had to choose which one I would prefer to keep, people are not going to like this because we love the Michael Hage story, him being from Montreal, all that stuff. I'm more of a Zarovsky guy, I think, at this stage than Michael Hage. It's probably not going to be very popular. People love Michael Hage. It's a very heartwarming story. I get it. But I'm just looking at the cold hard facts of kind of how I think they're going to play out. I just see Zarovsky being like, if you're going, these are both skilled players. I think Zarovsky has a higher upside than Michael Hage, in my opinion.
Good point about that. And we talk about Robinson, Jason Robinson. I think he's going to be on the UF3 or RF3 next season, so maybe not. But
Not this summer. No.
Look, it's obvious that in order to address wherever your biggest need is, especially if it's a top six type of player, a center, whatever the case might be, you're going to have to sacrifice something, right? That goes without saying.
Okay, enough that.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, because you turn my lights on right now, and you can answer after that. Consider your point after that. But Marco, see, do you trade Michael Edge, a first-round pick, for Philip Forsberg?
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
See, it doesn't. Well, because I don't think Forsberg really fits the direction that Montreal is going. Right, like it goes back to what we were saying earlier. I think he's more of a filler for Montreal than he would be for the future moving forward. And I don't think that that's the type of player Montreal is looking for, personally.
Marco, what would be your reason behind that?
So I'm just looking. Forsberg is 31.
Yeah.
How many years he's at 8.5 million? How many years does he have left?
5 years, I believe.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a left shot or a right shot?
He's a
right shot.
Yeah.
He plays left, but he's a right shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's a winger, right? So this goes to my point, Coach. Like, he definitely plays heavy, right? He plays a heavy game. So if I had to choose, here's a better question. I would choose him over Kyrou every day for sure. Like, he's a much heavier type of player. You know my philosophy. I've said it many times here before. When a player gets over 30, if their skating is not high level,
Elite.
it concerns me for a long-term contract. So my only thing with Forsberg is the skating. So I think he'll be fine for at least 2 to 3 years. If you're getting into a 6-year deal at 8.5 million, the skating makes me a bit nervous. He's had issues with his ankle before, and like you could see it. Like there was an NHL Amazon special where they were following him, and he had this massive problem with his ankles. So it makes me a bit nervous from that perspective.
He's also very streaky. He's very streaky as well, Mark.
Yeah, but he's listen, like, great player, but again, guys, I'm holding my bullets for the center. Like,
that was what we're going to bring to you after that. I said, do you prefer to trade that to versus a center versus a winger.
Yeah.
And then you can
Yeah.
maybe try, get a winger on the way. But you're right.
How many teams in the NHL are looking for centers? Just ask your question that question, right?
At least
Like
8.
it's easier
At least,
it's easier to get a winger than it is a center that is
and
top six.
don't think that you're getting anything in the free agent market. There's nothing. Like I said, the best
Yeah.
free
No,
agent
no.
center.
Yeah, next year's Panarin is the top of that
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
doesn't fit.
Yeah, and Tuck, right? Tuck is gonna, if he stays a free agent, then Tuck will still be another big name right now. But there's not much there.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, like Montreal needs to somehow find it. Like that's the good news is they Montreal still has a decent amount of assets, right? But they're going to run out of these assets eventually here. Like it's not bottomless. Like they traded a lot of assets just recently to get Dobson. They traded Mayu to get Budzik. The jury's still out on that one. Not really great so far. We'll see kind of how it plays out here. But
ways.
you only have so many shots, kicks at the can, and you only have so many assets. But there is a timer on it too, right? Like one thing we don't talk a lot about, guys, is there is a ticking time bomb element to it as well, right? Because players like Engstrom, at some point, they're not going to be waiver exempt forever, right? At some point,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to keep them on your roster, and you're going to have to either make room for them or move them. It's an asset management nightmare if they don't make choices soon. It's like canned food versus fresh produce on the shelf. Canned food, you can be patient. It's just gonna, it's like in your bomb shelter, you're fine, right? But when you're dealing with fresh produce, there's an expiry date, and some of these, like Engstrom that we're just talking about, there's going to be an expiry date on him soon. Jackeye, there's going to be an expiry date on him soon. Like you're not going to be able to send him down. So there's a lot of things that go into this, and that's why they get paid the big bucks, man. Like it's a lot of tough decisions to make, and you can't make any mistakes, or you're going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs 8 years from now.
Will be very interesting what's happening for that one, for sure. Let's move on for the next. Will be the Clash, if you don't mind. And then we can move on for the Laval Rocket and the prospect of the week. And then we can go on this one. I think it was good to exercise, like A2 said. Good conversation. We're sharing about different things. And we'll see what's happening for the Clash, Mr. Nartap and Marco. We are right here. 5 questions. All, if you agree, absolutely or not allowed. I think I have a couple of great questions tonight. First of all, Mr. Nartap. 18 more games for Colorado until end of the year. Do you think they're going to have 4.5 over 4.5 loss? So automatically they're going to lose 5 of the next 18 games for them. They lost 1 game so far. They won tonight 2-0 for against Chicago. And what do you think about that Clash?
I think it's possible, and I'll tell you why. Even though they're running over teams in the league so far this year, that's a lot of games. That's a lot of games until the end of the year, and a lot of them will be either. If I'm not mistaken, I think Colorado has 3 back-to-backs in those 18. They have, I believe, 3 games in 4 nights. Or in 5 nights, I can't recall now. So the possibility, you're bringing in at times, even though their goaltending has been superb, their backup goaltending and their starting goaltending has been superb. Whether they put in Wedgwood or the starter Blackwood, I think yes, I'll say absolutely, but it'll be a small number.
So the question is Colorado going to lose more than
5
4
or more
5 games, 5 or more in the next 18?
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes. Like their winning percentage is just like alien right now. It's just bonkers, right? So even though they're a great team, I just don't see them being able to maintain that pace. Something's going to happen, right? Like, so I'm going to say not at all, or yes, absolutely they will lose more than 5 in the next 18.
I go not at all. I think they're going to lose 4 maximum next 18 game, but they're losing tonight, so we have 17 games now. But I think they will be not allowed for that question for both of us. Here we go. The next one.
They're
Here we
going to
go.
lose to
Just
Montreal
kidding.
soon. So
I'm sorry.
they're going to lose to Montreal soon. So there's one.
Hopefully that one will be fine. I already include on my 4 last and after. Boston or New York Islanders or the Flyers and in the playoff.
I have to go first on this one. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure I'm buying any of these 3. Like, again, it's so close right now, but if you just looking at things on paper, the Islanders just got some bad news today with Romanov and Pajot, being injured. So that's a team that can't really afford to have anything go wrong. They've had a really good start. Boston, to me, like I just don't understand how they're doing it, to be honest. Like, just playing amazing team game and everything, but I just don't see how they can kind of keep this up. And Philly,
they're losing right now 2-0.
Was that a Rooster, Coach? Was that a Rooster?
Have about we babysat 3 this weekend.
Oh, that's nice.
So we got an extra day about that.
Okay, that's a dog.
And a
that's
cat.
A dog. I thought it was a rooster for a second. That's a dog.
Yeah, no, it's now the ducks are outside right now, but the chicken also. But no, we cannot hear them. But the dog are a little bit that way.
Okay. I don't see, honestly, guys, I don't think any of these teams should make the playoffs. Nothing's impossible,
that's
right? Yeah, they shouldn't. So I'm going to say not at all for all 3 of these.
Yeah.
Not at all for Marco.
Right now, all 3 of them are in the playoffs as of tonight. Chances that one sticks, I mean, I gotta believe one of them will. Right now there's just too much parity. When you look at the teams from first place to 14th in each division or in each conference, you see that nothing more than about 4 or 5 points separates them. So as long as it stays close throughout, do one of them have a chance? I'm going to gamble and say yes. So absolutely.
Morgan Kiki just scored a goal. It's 15 goals of the year for Kiki for Boston. Now they lose by 1 goal on that one. But
that's how they're doing
it. The team can surprise me is Boston, because it's so tight in the Atlantic Division, and I think many teams will be on the same boat, like Montreal, Detroit, Boston. I think Ottawa tempo is going to fly a little bit higher, I believe. So it'll be very tight for them, but I don't think it will happen for the next 60 games. I think I will go all 3 out of the playoff for the upcoming.
Hey guys, Coach, can I ask you a question? I haven't looked at it. I don't know if you know offhand, and if don't, then just we'll look it up after. But one of the things that we're going to be looking at was Montreal's record against the Atlantic Division. Do you know where we're at with that?
No, right now I don't have the in front of me right now.
But it's close to 500, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, we should look
at
that.
Not
those games are going to be so important this year, guys. Like our record against the Atlantic Division, it's going to need to be so good.
Yeah. We haven't played Detroit yet, right?
Yeah, we beat them once.
Okay.
Florida, Toronto, bottom of the Atlantic. One of the 2.
At the bottom?
Yeah.
No.
Not both of them. So. One or the 2.
No. I'll say
which one is not going to? Which one will be? Are you bottom?
No, I don't think either one will be. Neither one.
No, but if you I understand. But if they are not them, it's not them. Which one is going to be there? Like Buffalo, Boston, or?
Yeah, I think it'll be Buffalo. I know that they're playing much better hockey as of late, but they have some big decisions to make over there, and if they become sellers, it's going to affect their standing in the division.
There's no logical reason to say this because they're playing so well right now, but I'm going to say Boston. Just looking at the team on paper, I just don't see that's who I had finishing last in the Atlantic to start the year. It's a long season, guys. We're, one quarter of the way through, so I still think Boston is going to run out of steam at some point, but who knows? They've been playing over their head, and maybe they have something magical, but I would just still be super surprised if they don't.
Great comment about that. I just want to give you 4-2, the record of the Montreal again Atlantic Division, Marco. 4-2 in 6 games about that.
Okay.
And I will give you one more stat, Marco. And the Metropolitan Division, they are 0-5.
And it's weird. Last year didn't they have a really good record against the Metro last year?
Yeah,
but
better.
This year,
Yeah. So would be
Okay.
interesting about that for sure. I would say to you guys, absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You think
Toronto,
Florida or
guys,
Toronto?
hit the bottom of them at the bottom. Toronto
Wow.
will be the biggest ward, it's going to be the ward number 4 in the world in Toronto. And the next,
Guys, don't forget, Toronto doesn't have their first round pick. They traded their first round pick to Boston.
Yeah, the coach Chanel is top 5
For Carlo.
Top 5. But if you're Toronto, if you finish 6th and you get you're giving Boston the 6th overall pick, oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
Winnipeg and the playoff, Mr. Marco.
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, they're just too good of a regular season team. I know Hellebuck's going to be out here for a while, but I think they're such a good regular season team that I know it's really competitive in the Central, but I think they'll still make it in.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. If anything, I think they're in many ways, even though the record's not showing it, they're stronger than last year. The addition of Taze is a huge addition to that team. Brings experience. Shifley's having a fantastic year. Perfetti's off the IR and back into the lineup. I think that'll make a big difference. Connor's been Connor. He does this every year. The defensive core is strong, and like we've been saying every night, Coach, if you have the goaltender or goaltenders, you're gonna win your games. And Hellebuck is, if not the best, one of the best out there.
I go with not at all on that one.
Wow.
Ooh.
Toronto and Winnipeg both not making the playoffs.
Toronto and Winnipeg out of the playoff this year.
Wow.
Okay.
Flag it. Celebrity et Ballard over 100 points, both of them.
I'm going to say not at all. I think one of them does. I think it'll be Celebrini. Bedard will be slightly under in the 90s, low 90s.
Yeah, I'm going to say not at all, just because first of all, it's just hard to keep up that pace. And it's going to be a condensed season this year and everything else. And they could be going to the Olympics. I don't know. But it's supporting cast too, right? To get 100 points, Coach, you need some productive players around you, right? And right now, not taking away the start that they've had, they've both been absolutely incredible. But I just don't see them getting there quite yet with the supporting cast they have.
All right, I go also not allowed. I think Celebrity going to get a better 91 points on that one. And Willie, never trade Celebrity for the rest of your life. Another
Come
one. Well, that's it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it on that one, guys. I think we did all over. We have, of course, the Montreal Canadiens prospect and the Laval Rocket, but will be very quickly. Laval Rocket won 7-2 and they went 4-3. And we have Zarowski at 2 points today. Good weekend, a couple of players around, so we're going to pick up this one tomorrow night. But I think it will be the end at 10-26. Now we're going to go for the week for the Montreal Canadiens. Preview week for the Montreal guys. Utah, Vegas, a good night. So everybody can. We did not do any vote last week because we had no show. It was Montreal play. So, what it would be your week prediction for the Montreal Canadiens? Start with Marco. We can pick
And guys,
the same number, by the way.
and do you want to also predict the goaltending situation for each game too, to add another layer
It's
of
hard enough
interest?
to get the points.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Montreal is going to go 1-2. I think they'll carry the momentum of their last game into Utah. They have some confidence after beating them earlier in Montreal, so I think they'll be fine there. But I think it's going to be a bit tougher with Vegas and Colorado. But maybe they capture the same magic in the bottle. Like we remember, they beat both these teams in their really hot streak going into the holidays last year. Like they beat both these teams is when they started getting hot. So hopefully they get inspired by last year. But and in terms of goaltending, I think it's probably going to be Dobesh for 2 out of the 3. Vegas and Colorado are back to back, right? So
Yes.
I think they're probably going to go with Montembeault for Vegas, and then so they'll alternate basically and do it that way. That's kind of how I think we'll play out.
Yeah.
And after that,
Yeah. I agree. I think they'll go 1-1-1, so 3 points. And they'll probably I gotta believe they'll go with Dobesh against Utah, and then they'll split the 2 goalies on the back-to-back. This is 3 games in 4 nights for them, right? It's gonna be tough.
Luc Lafortune go with 0, mais c'est en tape.
No surprise there.
Some people go with 2 points. I go with 2 points, me. For this week, I think it will be too hard for them. But you know what? I'm going to surprise everyone. They go 0, 1, and 2.
2 points.
It's possible.
Yeah, too many overtime.
Crazy. It was 25% of games are going to overtime this season.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
28.3% of the game right now until Wednesday. Before the game Thursday, I did not go there. I'm going to get there on that one. PLW go with 4 points this week. PLW, interesting about that for sure. But guys, I will let you go because it's already 10:30, so we respect the time. I will definitely see you around the week, and then a great performance for both of you. And hopefully you're going to be back as on the week at some point. Turkey Awards, Thursday night, everybody. Thanksgiving. Marco, thanks so much for your participation tonight. Mr. Narta, was a pleasure. You make it. You did it. And a pleasure. And we wish the best for you and your family for the next couple of days, Mr. Narta.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Marco, for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. See you soon.
Good night. It was the Red Lights of the Hockey Nation tonight. Great to work with Marco and Artap. Great to see them with all 3 together. It's not happened a lot, honestly, but glad to be working when it's happened for all. Dan Ab 1 go with 4. Dan, I got it. And then we have Claude Richard at 3. Mon ami Claude, merci beaucoup. Ça nous fait plaisir. And 26, go Habs, go Ovidio, Billy, thanks so much. Everything like that. And I think we did very good overall. Glad to see all of you tonight. The Sunday night is a show we like to do. For the week, and now we have Monday, Tuesday. Just check the notification. I'll be there. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I will be there. Game, NHL, Montreal Canadiens, we'll see. Montreal didn't have no practice today. They are going to return on the ice tomorrow. I think they fly tomorrow, destination Utah, and then they're going to practice in Utah Tuesday, play Wednesday, and then they're going to play off Thanksgiving. They're going to be already in Vegas, so they're going to celebrate Vegas. They play Friday at 4:00 p.m. They play Saturday at 3 p.m. Again, Colorado, again, Steve G and Willie. So I can't wait to see all of you guys. Always a pleasure to work with all of them, guys. We want to thank the Super Chat tonight on the great night. Willie got 3. He copy you again. Super Chat, Maurice Robillard tonight at the $5. $5. Thanks so much. Maurice. Super run with the moderator tonight. We welcome back also Luciano. Thanks to be with us and other people. RJ Gabro, the news and update. Great job, my friend RJ. Always a pleasure. And that's it for tonight. You're welcome, Dan. Thanks again. And Siwan, of course. And the only reason we get better. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. That's it. That's all, guys. The weekend is over. Time to reset for another week. The Thanksgiving week in USA. Be safe. Be careful. Enjoy the time with your family. Whatever you do, just remember, maybe the cloud is there, but the sun is behind. And take your time. Thanks so much, RJ Galabro. We missed a couple to get on the 50. We want to thank, of course, everybody. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow night at 8:30 or 7:30 or 7 o'clock. We want to do something. We don't take day off right now. I was supposed to go to Bangkok for 2 days, but I cannot. I want to finish the year 2024 and 2025 with no day off until December 31st. We'll see if it's possible. The Hockey Nation, the Hab Nation. Want to say one more thing, but we're not there yet. Be well, be healthy. Find a way not only to dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the second half of what? 2025. Askarov do very well between the pipe today. 6 games was on the program today in the NHL. And tomorrow night, we have 4 games on the program in NHL. 7 games tomorrow night. So we'll see which one we can go. Harry, welcome back, my friend. Have a good night. The Hockey Nation, the Hab Nation, and all the animal and the kingdom of Tenon want to tell you one more thing. We love you, friends. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock or 8:30 p.m. Good night. Thank you. PW, as we survive. You did it. Booyah. Good night, everybody.